Welcome to the education video outlining enhancements made to the community client list. As a result of the first community client list enhancement project, 22 changes from an extensive list of user requests and clinician feedback have been included in this update. This video forms part of the self-help education materials for the community client list enhancements. Please note there are also reference guides available on the internet for those who prefer that type of education style or are looking for something to print out and keep on hand. The intended audience is current community clinicians who are familiar with the community client list and interested in the changes with this enhancement. Not all 22 changes are included in this video. Some are behind the scenes and not visible. However, changes to the look and feel will be discussed and enhancements to functionality will be demonstrated. This video is not intended to provide complete community client list training, as it does not discuss items that remain unchanged for new staff. When looking for holistic information, please access training materials on the internet or request training via statewide service desk. The basic principles to the community client list have not changed. Clients are added to the list via a community registration and removed with the community discharge process. Hopefully you will find usability improved, however there should be no change to current work process or daily responsibilities. If you have further questions that cannot be answered by your local champion or super user, they can be submitted to the statewide service desk via the 1300 number or by logging an online ticket via SARA. We will now review some of the enhancements. The first change you'll notice is the filters at the top are different. There are no location, associated group or assigned to filters. These will be reviewed later in the video. A point to note, if your screen is a little smaller, I'll just make my window smaller to demonstrate, you might see some of these filters drop down to the next line. This is a space-saving feature and will not affect how the community list displays. One new feature is the ability to open a client chart as soon as they have been added to the community client list. Historically, when you add a client using the community registration, you would then have to filter or search for them in the list so that you could then open their chart. It was a two-step process. In the new community client list, you can open the chart as soon as the community registration is completed. I'll complete a new community registration to demonstrate. First, I'll search for the client and review the displayed list. I'll add a new client, so I'll select Add Person. To save time, I have filled in the community client registration fields. When I click OK, and you can now see that there is a message that displays stating, "Do you want to open the chart?" If I select OK, the chart will open and I do not need to search for them on the community client list. If I select Cancel, the message will close and the chart does not display. I will select OK and the chart opens up immediately to the new location, so it is definitely the encounter I just added, ready for me to review and document in the chart. This should save a little time for those who register clients and need to open their chart directly after registration. The next change to review is the hover function over the client name. When you hover over a name, it will then display some key information, including the name, MRN, gender, date of birth, and financial class, the last of which is expected to be a popular change, as previously you had to go back into the registration to view this. The next enhancement is with highlighting the client row in the list. A single click on their name will now highlight the row on the community client list, which makes it easier to stay on that same row rather than accidentally selecting one of the features above or below on the community client list. There has also been an enhancement to the alert icon. Now, whenever you hover over the alert icon, it will display the alerts that are documented in the client chart. For example, this client has an alert for difficult intubation. Now we will review the changes made to the 7-day icon. This icon has always indicated if the client has presented somewhere in the LHD, either in the outpatient clinic setting, inpatient setting, or even another community clinic within the past 7 days. The enhancement made is that this now honours organisational security. So if we have a client who presented within the last 7 days to, say, child protection or sexual assault, the 7-day icon flag will not trigger. Another area that people found challenging is when we have clients on the community list with similar names. To assist with correct identification of clients with same last name, the names have been italicised. In this example, the clients both have a family name of CC Test, so the name now displays in italics. We'll now review the enhancement to the traffic lights that display down the left-hand side. Previously, the traffic light was just an icon that changed colour when you clicked on the icon. There has been additional functionality built so that when you click on the icon, a pop-up window will display. This allows you to select the colour required, 0 being the default, which is grey, 1 is red, 2 is amber, and 3 is green. For this demonstration, I'll select green. In addition, when changing the traffic light colour, it is now mandatory to enter a reason. I'll demonstrate trying to make a change without completing the mandatory field. The system will display an alert. I'll just update the reason and select OK. As you can see, when you hover over the top of that traffic light, it displays the information entered. Previous category was 0, it was updated by me, it tells you when it was updated and the reason it was updated. I just entered testing this. Next to review is the deceased icon. There has been significant effort made to better identify when a client on the list is deceased, and if any client encounters have been discharged with the reason of deceased. There is now an icon to indicate if the client is deceased. A D appears against all open encounters in the alerts column of the client list. In addition, it updates the age column to display deceased and also displays the date of death. The next enhancement to review is the referral details column. The column now displays up to 20 characters of the reason for referral documented in the client registration. If you hover the mouse over the field, the full reason for referral will display. A significant change has been made to how an associated group can be assigned to a client and the number of associated groups that can be assigned. You'll note the addition icon in the associated group column. When you click on the icon, several options will display. There is now the option to assign up to 5 associated groups to a client. To add an associated group, click on one of the Assign Group options. The Select window will display. Type in the first 2 letters of the associated group you wish to assign and a list will display. Select the option and click OK. To assign an additional associated group to the client, or to reassign or remove the group just assigned, left-click on the associated group name. Select the required action. In this scenario, I will assign a second group. I have assigned a second associated group. Additional associated groups are indicated by the 3 dots that display in the text. When you hover the mouse over the text, the additional groups will display. When the associated group is added from the community client list, they are also displayed in the client registration. To view the registration for this client, click on the blue icon in the registration column. You'll note that the 2 associated groups display in the client registration. I'll just mention a slight visual change to the Assign To field. The 2 dashes have been replaced with the blue addition icon. The method of assigning a clinician has not changed. Left-click on the blue cross icon and select either Assign to Me or Assign to Other option. We will now go through the new filter list functionality. You can now set up multiple lists to display different community clients. You will no longer need to go back and change your filters all of the time, for a different list to display. Up to 10 lists can be created for each user. You can easily swap between lists using the drop-down arrow. Click on the List Maintenance icon to open the List Maintenance window. In the bottom right-hand corner of the List Maintenance window, you'll note an icon to add a new client list. For this demonstration, I will create a new list. The first thing you'll notice is that there's a yellow mandatory field where you name the list. Nobody else sees the name of your list, but it is a good idea to keep it fairly intuitive. For this demonstration, I'm going to create a list for Bellingen Community Nursing. First, enter the description of the list in the mandatory field. Then simply set the filters. As you can see, there is not a lot of change to the locations hierarchy. I have expanded the CMN location and BELCH location hierarchy and selected the location for community nursing. Then select the stream. You'll note that you can set a list to be across multiple streams. I have selected just the one in this instance. When setting the filters, it is best to move from left to right. As you select one filter, the next filter to the right can be dynamic. When I selected Community Home Nursing Stream, the associated groups filter adjusted to only display the options for that stream. This function has not changed. I'm not going to specify a particular associated group in this instance. Leave the relationships filter as all. This is not actually being used by our LHD. Click OK when you have completed the filters. Once the list loads, it is important to click the refresh icon in the top right-hand corner. This will refresh the client list display field with the list description. If I now select the list drop-down, I can see the newly created list in the options available. Now that we have created a list, I'll demonstrate how to modify the filters for an existing list. Click on List Maintenance. Within the List Maintenance window, you can see the various filters that are set for each created client list. The action functions to the right of each list provide the option to delete, edit, or copy that particular list. If you no longer need a particular client list, select the Delete option. If you want to add a similar list to one already created, select the Copy option. Slightly change the filter options and name the copied list. This is a quick method of creating a list if most filter options are the same and you are adding a list with different associated groups. If you want to make a change to a current list, select the Edit option. In this instance, I have selected the Edit option, where I have added the associated group filter for CN Area 1 and updated the list name to reflect the change. Click OK to close the window. Select Refresh. Only clients with CN Area 1 assigned display in the list. That concludes the demonstration of Community Client List Enhancements. For additional information, please refer to your local LHD reference guides. Thank you for your attention.